training. Therefore, the objective of the seminar is to impart holistic perspective of dyslexia to the parents and the teachers, particularly highlighting the dyslexic trends identified by thought-provoking recent researches. The seminar is going to be in 4 parts every Saturday of October, being the month recognized worldwide as International Dyslexia Awareness Month. The webinars will focus on critical aspects of interventions to improve reading and writing. That is part 1, which is going to be today. Concessions in board exams, part 2. Day-to-day management of dyslexia, part 3. And the psychological management of dyslexia, part 4. The above topics will be addressed by experienced speakers in their respective fields. I extend a warm welcome to our speaker, Mr. Vineet Wankhede, who would be speaking today on reading dyslexia correctly. I request our MC Sonia to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. Now it's time for our speaker, Mr. Vineet Wankhede. Mr. Vineet Wankhede is the parent of a lovely daughter who has dyslexia. He is also one of the founding members of the Gold Parent Support Group for parents of children with specific learning disability. GOLD is an acronym he coined for Gift of Learning Differently. While reading and researching on dyslexia and to know how he could help his daughter better, he has arrived at a few facts that he would like to share in today's presentation. Mr. Wankhede is basically an engineer turned IPS officer of the 1994 batch. He has worked in Chennai and several districts for the Tamil Nadu government. He has also worked in New Delhi and the state of Jammu and Kashmir for the government of India. His keen interest in humanities, analytics, and technology has always helped him in his work as a senior police officer. Currently, he serves as the Additional Director General of Police in Tamil Nadu Police. He enjoys bird watching and bird photography. He plays cricket and badminton and has represented the Tamil Nadu Police in both the sports. He is also an avid crossword enthusiast and has won several crossword contests. I now request Mr. Vineet Wankhede to deliver his speech.
Good morning to all of you. I hope I'm audible.
You are.
Thank you. At the outset, I would like to thank Rotary Club of Chennai Utsav for giving me this opportunity to speak on a topic which is really close to my heart and also taking up the cause of dyslexia. I'm a parent of a dyslexic, and during this journey, I also discovered that I am a dyslexic too. I'll commence my presentation because we are really short of time. The topic is reading dyslexia correctly towards clarity and optimism. First, few basic facts about dyslexia. Dyslexia is way more common than we think. Various studies have shown that at least 1 in 6 to 1 in 10, that is 10% to 17 to 18% of population is dyslexic. This is a very substantial number. Secondly, certain dyslexic traits like difficulty with reading and writing are universal. Yet every dyslexic has his own combination of various degrees of these traits. Thirdly, dyslexia is predominantly genetic. Earlier it used to be believed that dyslexia is caused by prenatal complications or premature birth or even childhood trauma. However, recent researchers have established that the cause of dyslexia is primarily genetic. Role of parents is very critical. I request parents of dyslexic children to understand that it is the child which is facing the condition of dyslexia. Your child is lonely and in pain. And where is this pain coming from? Pain is coming from the school, which is based on total transfer of knowledge only based on written word, with which the dyslexic child is uncomfortable. It comes from relatives who constantly compare the child with other children on academic performance. It even comes from friends who make the child realize in subtle way that he is different. So the question before the parents is, do you want to add to the pain or alleviate the pain? Parents of dyslexic children must understand that your child is going to become adult one day. And by the time he becomes adult, he would have learned to manage his dyslexia or overcome the dyslexic limitations. But will he overcome the pain and bitterness? How do you want him to remember his childhood and your role in that? I'm sure all of you would like him to remember that parents were the people who stood behind him. Researchers have shown that every successful dyslexic, and most dyslexics are successful, every successful dyslexic credits his success to at least one parent who was supportive and one motivational teacher. So the role of parent is very critical. Let us come to the plight of the parents. So this presentation is from the perspective of the parents. I'm not a dyslexia expert, but sometimes you need an outsider to make things more clear. But once a child is identified with dyslexia, the first reaction is of a shock. What has this happened? What is this? Then so many information is given to the dyslexic parents by the assessors or dyslexia experts. So basically the state of mind of a dyslexic parent of a dyslexic child is that of a confusion. That is the initial stage as soon as the dyslexia is identified in the child. From this stage, the dyslexia expert take the parents to the next stage, where they tell the parents that don't worry, we'll simplify things for you. Leave all this terminology of dyslexia and other things aside. Just understand that it is a brain thing, something related to brain. And it is associated with certain problems. Problem number one, your child will have difficulty with reading and writing. But don't worry, there are interventions to improve reading and writing skills. Then there is a technology which will help you in reading assistance. And there are concessions often offered by boards. We'll be having separate presentations on this topic subsequently in this webinar. Then they tell you there's problem number two. Your child will have physiological issues, coordination issues, concentration issues. Occupational therapy, sensory integration, diet regulation will be offered as solutions. Then there is a problem number three. Your child will have daily activities issues. Simple things like brushing teeth or taking bath. Solution will be offered in form of inculcating discipline of routine. It doesn't stop here. There's a problem number four. Your child will have psychological issues. Means self-esteem issues or anger issues. Psychological counseling for building self-esteem or addressing anger issues will be offered as solutions. Unfortunately, it does not stop here. There's a problem number five. They tell you that your child will have social relationship issues. Relationship within family, with sibling, but with friends. And they will offer strategies, psychological strategies for improving, helping the child in developing relationship. So what is the sum total of the stage one and stage two? The parent was confused earlier. Now he is in despair. He comes to conclusion, the parents come to conclusion that dyslexia is nothing but a bag full of problems. My poor child, with some help, will somehow survive in this world. So survival in the world becomes a maximum objective for the parents. And they also think this example of famous dyslexics these people give me about Einstein or Da Vinci or Edison or Richard Branson, Steven Spielberg, all that is meaningless to me. How does it connect to my child? This is the purpose of this presentation. We have to move from despair to clarity and optimism. Let us start with history of dyslexia. The term dyslexia was coined in 1896. A child could not read. Parent assumed that something is wrong with the eye. The child is taken to an eye doctor, ophthalmologist, Ophthalmologist examines the eye, finds everything okay. So he coins the word dyslexia, difficulty with reading. From 1896 to 1990s, for over 100 years, the focus of dyslexia research was on treating dyslexia as a disorder or disability or a dysfunction and finding remedy or cure for it. I'm not belittling this research. Fantastic research has happened which has helped us to develop techniques leading to reading and writing improvements or occupational therapy. However, in 1990s, a new researcher started looking at dyslexia and understanding dyslexia in a different manner. That right side of the brain is the creative brain and left side of the brain is the logical brain. Starting from that, a lot of researches happened. In this research, they clearly established that dyslexia has a lot of advantages and specific dyslexic strengths. So today, dyslexia is not viewed as only weaknesses for which assistance is required, but also a lot of strengths which need to be unlocked for the dyslexic child. These are the two pioneering works. I would request parents of dyslexic children to kindly go through this. In 1994, Ronald Davis published the book called Gift of Dyslexia. He was the first one, earliest person to propound that gift has a lot of advantages. In 2012, Dr. Ides, Brock and Furnett, they published the book Dyslexic Advantage, in which, with a detailed scientific research, they clearly established and specified which are the dyslexic strengths, how to use them in education and how to use them in career. My presentation is mostly based on this seminal book by Dr. Ides, The Dyslexic Advantage. So what is the core message of the new perspective? The core message is that individuals with dyslexia are talented, not in spite of their dyslexia, but because of their dyslexia. In other words, strengths and weaknesses are simply two sides of the same neurological coin. Till now, we have only been seeing the weaknesses side. It is time we see the other side of the coin where the dyslexic advantages lie. I have tried to summarize the new perspective of dyslexia in as simple as I could make it. The new perspective on dyslexia goes like this. Dyslexia is caused by different brain structure, different brain wiring, different brain structure, not defective brain structure. There's nothing wrong with dyslexic, they are just different. Different brain structure means different data processing. Brain is basically a data processing unit. So dyslexics process data differently because their brain wiring is different. Different data processing is the source of the dyslexic strengths. At the same time, the same different data processing leads to difficulty in common data processing, that is the reading and writing skills. Different data processing also means that the learning style of dyslexics is going to be different. Their path will be different. So why do you call it advantage? If we compare a dyslexic and non-dyslexics on the different kinds of processing skills, you'll understand why it is called advantage. Let us take common data processing skill like reading and writing. Dyslexic has difficulty in reading and writing, but he can overcome this with training, effort, and time. By the time dyslexics are teenagers or adults, most of them learn to manage reading and writing skills to some extent, to a reasonably good extent. On the other hand, non-dyslexic is very comfortable with reading and writing. When we come to unique data processing skills of dyslexics, these are inherent in dyslexic. On the other hand, non-dyslexic does not possess that, or cannot acquire that because these are inherent. So the score is 2:1. That is why it is called an advantage. It is very important for us to understand the difference between spoken language, written language, and knowledge. Now, what is spoken language? Tongue makes different kinds of sounds. These sounds are joined together to make syllables. different syllables joined together to make words, words joined together to make sentences, which we use to describe the world around us or our emotions and feelings or communicate with each other. Written language, on the other hand, is just representing those sounds into symbols. Knowledge is understanding of the world around us. All three are independent. It's important to note that. A person can be very knowledgeable without having knowledge of written language. But this is important to understand. Difficulty in reading and writing is just that, difficulty in reading and writing. It is not a barrier to knowledge or intelligence. Another important concept we need to understand: verbal and non-verbal conceptualization differences. We think that we think in words. Actually, it is not true. We have been trained to think in words. We have the expression at loss of words. There are things which we cannot describe in words. So there are two kinds of thinking: verbal conceptualization, thinking in words, and non-verbal conceptualizations. Here is where the dyslexics differ from the non-dyslexics. They do not think in words. Their primary thinking is non-verbal. Now, what is this non-verbal thinking we are talking about? So I would like you to read the Einstein's quote here. I'll not read it out the whole thing, but basically saying that my thinking is not in words. I think in psychical entities, which my elements of thoughts are more or less clear images and signs. It is also important for us to understand that dyslexic trajectory is going to be different from a non-dyslexic trajectory. When we try to thrust this non-dyslexic trajectory on a dyslexic, the pain arises. So what is a dyslexic trajectory? And this trajectory is on basis of universal research. You can check it with any dyslexic adult, how he felt or how he looking back his years, how it was. The summary of it is like this. School is the most painful period of a dyslexic child, for obvious reasons. The dyslexic child starts to bud somewhere around college, where the dyslexic strengths start coming into play. And by the time they go into, their dyslexic strengths have totally bloomed and they also bloom. This trajectory is not easy to change, but it is easy to accept, and management of dyslexia around this trajectory is very fruitful. Now, what are the, I'll come to the dyslexic strengths, specific dyslexic strengths now. Dr. Ides have coined a very nice, easy to remember acronym for this, MIND. There are 4 strengths. MIND. I'll come to the strengths afterwards. What we are going to do today is, each strength will see what is the strength, what is the flip side of the strength. As I told earlier, the strength and weaknesses are opposite sides of the same neurological coin. The same brain structure which gives them the strength also causes certain weaknesses. So which are the strengths? What are the associated weaknesses? Which are the carriers or the courses which are suitable for dyslexic children? And most importantly, how to use this dyslexic strength in education. Let us come to the first strength. It is called the M strength, material reasoning. The 3D power. Some interesting facts. Royal College of Art, London, 35% of students at least are dyslexic. That is almost 2 to 3 times the normal population in dyslexic. MIT Media Lab. Dyslexia is so common there that it is called MIT disease. So what is this material reasoning? We live in a 3D world made up of millions of objects around us, solid, liquid, gas, matter, energy, continuously in motion and change. Dyslexics have extremely strong perception of the 3D world around us. This extremely strong perception of the 3D world around us gives them a very strong ability for 3D visualization. They can create matrix of images of any object, whether it's a building or a machine, inside their mind, turn it around, move inside it, whether they can follow the flow, texture, shape, size, color, everything. I'll explain with example, maybe then it will become more clear. Suppose you give an empty land to a dyslexic. He can visualize the full building there. He can change the design, change the sizes of the room, move around the rooms. He can go inside, look at the building from different sides, all in mind, very easily. So the building is a creative visualization. Give the building to him, he can visualize the interiors, create the interiors in his mind, shuffle around the interior objects. They are very easy, they understand machines very easily. Machines are moving parts, they are not stationary. So they understand how the relative motions happen. How, for example, in a car, how the fuel flows from carburetor to the pistons and how the energy is transferred. The right side, the gear assembly will look very complex to us. For a dyslexic, he exactly knows how much a gear is moved, how much the other gear will move. Human body, we are 3D system. We are basically 3D creatures, and bodies are very complex systems. So dyslexics can easily visualize the whole functioning of the body, whether it's movement of blood inside the body or pumping of the heart or the transmission of electrical signal through the neurological system. They are very good at this. But it does not stop here. It's quite ironic that dyslexics have difficulty with basic maths. However, advanced maths is very three-dimensional, and dyslexics excel in advanced maths. Humanities and subjects like law. What are these? These subjects have large number of concepts. Let us take political science. There's a concept of democracy, republic, rights of man, the rule of law, duties. Thousands of concepts are there which are connected to each other in a complex matrix. Dyslexics are able to store this information, this complex matrix, in a 3D visualization in their mind. Hence, they also excel in subjects like humanities and law. Now let us see the other side of the coin. Because they are so good in 3D, they are not able to stabilize the images. Now, what is the written word? Written word is two-dimensional. So dyslexics are strong in 3D, but at the same time, they struggle with 2D. Written words are two-dimensional, so they keep on flipping in their mind, and P, D, P, Q practically looks same to them. It's very interesting to know that Einstein used to write in image. Sorry, Einstein, I'm sorry, Da Vinci. Da Vinci used to write in image. He never used to write in how we write. He used to write in images. The second issue, the other side of the coin, is that weakness which dyslexic have because of the strong 3D strength, that they have unease of language output, means they are late talkers. We will find many dyslexic children, they start talking very late. Now, why is that? The reason is quite simple. The area of the brain which gives them this amazing 3D spatial abilities also is the area which is used for word sound processing. So that's why the word sound processing development is slightly delayed. Many times they also have too much to express. So which are the jobs or the careers which are fit for high M strength dyslexics? These people are 3D masters of the space. So we have people who mold the space around us, the architects, the engineers, they build the buildings around us, or the machines. They are also space interpreters, like painters, photographers, and filmmakers. They interpret the 3D space around us for us. They are masters in body space also. They make very good surgeons, radiologists, pathologists, because this involves movement and visualization of the space inside the human body. Even a small space like dentist, they make very good dentists. They are excellent space navigators, like sailors and pilots. And since, as I already mentioned, mathematics is a universe in itself. So they excel in advanced mathematics. So these are the careers which are suitable for high M strength dyslexics. Now, how do you use M strengths, the material reasoning strengths in education? These kids, these dyslexics are visual learners. Words are painful for them. Please use pictures, drawings, diagrams, animations, and videos for transferring knowledge. Use 3D models and experiments wherever feasible. And if you are able to show the actual thing or process, suppose you want to teach the various kind of leaves, take them to the garden and show it directly. This is how they learn faster. Let me now move on to the second strength, I strength. It is called interconnected reasoning, and the power is analytical power. First was material reasoning, 3D power. This is interconnected reasoning, analytical power. So what is interconnected reasoning? We live in a very complex world, an interconnected world. The whole universe is made up of millions of galaxies. Galaxies are made of stars. Stars are made up of planets. And every planet has a lot of, even Earth if you take. Earth is a very complex system in itself. If you take our human body, it's a very complex system. If you take even a cell of human or a cell of any organism, it's a complex system. Complexity is all around us. But at the same time, everything is connected to everything. Dyslexics have amazing ability. It is threefold ability. One, they can spot connections between anything and anything in this world. These connections can be like visual patterns, how the visual patterns of things are similar. Connections can also be related to cause and effect, how the different things are related by cause and effect or by association. But it does not stop like that. Dyslexics are amazing in spotting connection between words. Words which have similar meaning, which are paradoxes, or also words which have similar sound. Not only rhyming words, but also words like alliteration which have similar beginning. And also rhythmically sound similar word, like missile or middle. They are rhythmically similar. They can spot those connections also. Their second strength is that they can view anything from multiple perspectives. I'll give an example. Suppose you ask a dyslexic to analyze television, a simple thing like television. He can analyze it from a technological perspective, how technology has developed from cathode ray tube to LCD to LED and other thing, how it is going. He can also examine TV, analyze TV from political angle, what impact it has on politics, or what impact it has on society, or what impact it has on economics. So same thing they can analyze from different perspective and different disciplinary approach. Basically, they are multiple perspective and multidisciplinary in approach. They cannot segregate anything in isolation. For them, everything is connected, which actually is a fact. The world is one connected system. Their third strength, that even in this different complexity, any complex system you give them or any complex piece of information, they're able to derive the essence and the gist of that. So this is the interconnected reasoning, which makes them excellent analysts. I'm giving certain examples. Jack Lawes is a naturalist. He has written many books on birds, plants, animals in American continent. His quote is very interesting. My connection with nature is not intellectual. It is deeply spiritual and emphatic. They feel the world much more strongly than a non-dyslexic does. Second is James Lovelock. He's a propounder of very famous hypothesis called Gaia hypothesis. Gaia theory says that Earth itself is like a living organism, and it also it has its own survival instinct. This is used to explain that climate change is Earth trying to protect itself against the global warming caused by the human beings. Third example is Douglas Merrill, very interesting character. He was Chief Information Officer at Google. If you see his career, he has studied economics, sociology, cybersecurity, computer programming, and cognitive science. So they move around disciplines very easily. Basically, they're born multidisciplinary. For them, knowledge is one. So moving from one subject to another subject is very seamless for them. Now the other side of this coin. because they have so many connections for for everything. They can spot distant connections, close connections. Many times they miss out primary connections. For example, if you ask a dyslexic, how are you? For this simple question, a normal person or non-dyslexic would answer, what is an expected answer? Okay, I'm fine, or this or that. For a dyslexic, he goes into, he puts all the options in his mind for this answer. So they might many times miss out the primary connection. Secondly, because they are so good with words which sound similar or conceptually similar, they unintendedly substitute words while speaking. I personally do this a lot. So if I'm trying to tell, please shut down the TV, I might say actually end up saying please shut down the fridge. I substitute because TV and fridge are conceptually both electronic appliances. So unintended substitution happens. It is important because we know these weaknesses, because if these weaknesses are very easy to identify. If these weaknesses are in your child, those strengths will also be there. Third weakness is distracted by environmental stimuli. So suppose now I am focusing on this presentation, but if something happens in background, I'll be very, very badly distracted and my thought process might stop. Focusing is very difficult for dyslexic with interconnected reasoning. They are very disorganized in personal items. I have not brought the photograph. Einstein's library, if you see, it was a mess. But however, he knew where each book was. So they are able to store the information in a complex way that it reflects in the personal items. And the last is most important. They are poor classroom fit. They don't fit in classroom very well. Why is that? For dyslexics, the knowledge is one. So suppose, for example, so they need a top-down approach. If you want to teach them physics, you will have to start with what is physics? What are the different chapters of physics? And then you come to which specific chapter you want to teach. Then they need that structural framework in their mind to store the knowledge. Without that framework, if you suddenly give a piece of knowledge, or you start a chapter on, let us say, mechanics, they'll find it very difficult to store the information and understand it. So they need a top-down approach. That is because of how they analyze. They view the world as one. So they view knowledge as one. So if you want to start something, start from the top and then come to the specific topic you want to teach them. These are the jobs which are fit for high-strength dyslexics. Any complex systems which has lot of interconnections, natural science, zoologist, botanist, humanities, they excel in humanities. Their analytical skills are amazing. Even technology, software requires a lot of analysis. They make excellent inventors. Edison was from this category. Creative arts. Kunal Kamra is a famous comedian. He's a dyslexic. They are able to spot connections which normal people miss out. And that's where the strength of comedian lies, stand-up comedians. They make very good actors and dancers because they are able to see connections across between emotion and the feeling and the expressions across the spectrum. Even chef, there are thousands of ingredients are there. How do I combine them to make a tasty dish? So how do we use eye strength in education? Most important, please use top-down approach. Like I gave example of physics earlier, now I'll give example of history. So suppose you want to teach your child history, please start with what is history. Give him overview of the world history. In the world history, tell him where the Indian history lies. And then you come to the particular chapter, step by step, then they will understand and they will have the structural framework in their mind to store the information. The structural framework is very, very important for them. Suppose you're teaching, want to show them a movie or read them a book. You tell the gist of the book first and also give the keywords in a paragraph which are going to come. This keyword is very, very important because the dyslexic way of reading. For example, I'll tell for myself, I don't read line by line because I cannot read line by line. If I start reading line by line, my thinking process stops. I look at a para, identify the keywords, make the meaning of the para, just check it once again, and then move to the next para. It's a paragraph keywords style kind of reading. This is called dyslexic way of reading. So that's why keywords are very important for them. In studies, please use analogies. Simple analogies like that, how atomic structure is similar to solar system structure, associations and connections. For example, if you're teaching about Mughal Empire, please teach him also about the Ashokan Empire, because though both started from a very small thing, grew into big empires and then collapsed. There are a lot of similarities. So if you teach only Mughal Empire, the chances of him remembering in isolation are less. But if you teach in comparison, he will remember both. So more data, more connections are better for them. So don't think that for dyslexic that lesser information is better. No, more information is better for them. Use multidisciplinary approach. So suppose you are teaching about, let us say Chennai city. You have to teach about Chennai city from all the angles. Its history, its economics, its politics, and its society. It's more complete 360 degree knowledge of any subject sinks in easier with them and they remember it very thoroughly, because that is their strength. We'll come to the end strength. This is called narrative reasoning or photographic memory power. So first was material reasoning, the 3D power. Second was interconnected reasoning or the analytical power. This is number 3, narrative reasoning, photographic memory power. For this, we need to understand how human memory functions. Human memory is of 2 types, long-term and short-term. Short-term things, like if I see around, I get so much of information. And for information which is not relevant, our brain processes and just leaves it. It does not store for long. Long-term memory is something which is stored in the mind. It is also of 2 types, declarative and procedural. Procedural memories is something which we learn by habit. For example, driving a car or riding a cycle. When you are driving a car, you are not consciously deciding that I'm going to change the gear. It automatically happens. It becomes a part of our body, part of our muscle memory. So that is the procedural memory. Other memory is declarative memory, which are the facts. Now this declarative memory is also of 2 types. So please bear with me because this is very important. Declarative memory is also of 2 types. One is semantic or impersonal memory. Like for example, I have not seen molecule personally, but molecule knowledge I understand. I have not seen Antarctica, but I understand Antarctica. Anything which I have not personally experienced, which when it is presented to me as a fact and I store it, that is called impersonal memory or semantic memory. On the other hand, everything I have experienced personally in my life, which I have seen, tasted, or touched, or personally experienced, that is called personal memory or episodic memory. This is the thing with the dyslexics. They have very strong episodic personal memory. I think many parents will remember, will identify with this example. My daughter can remember 7-8 years ago, some marriage, what that particular auntie was wearing, what kind of jewelry she was wearing, what food was served in minute details, as if the memory is live in front of her. But at the same time, I'll tell you, this strong episodic memory comes at a cost of weaker procedural and semantic or impersonal memory. So in summary, it means they have very strong experiential memory. Whatever they personally experience, they remember it vividly. It's almost like there are large number of film rolls which are stored inside their brains. And because of this strong experiential memory, they have extremely vivid description ability. They can describe things in such vividness as if the things will come alive in front of you. It means that they are great storytellers. It is really ironic that many of the top writers are dyslexic. Kids or people who are supposed to have difficulty with reading and writing make such great novelists and screenwriters. I'll give you some example. Anne Rice, she's a best-selling author of Vampire Chronicles, over 100 million copies sold. John Irving, Cedar House Rules. Robert Benton, the famous Kramer versus Kramer director, also and writer of the movie. And Vince Flynn, he's a thriller novelist. He is one of the best-selling authors. These are all dyslexic with strong narrative reasoning strength. So which are the jobs which are fit for high end strength dyslexics? Obviously, they are storytellers, so poet, strong writer, novelist, screenwriter, literature, journalism. but they are also visual storytellers. So video game designers, they make excellent video game designers. They're very good in advertising. And there are many professions which require us to narrate and convince the person in front of us. So they are very good coaches, teachers, public speaking, politicians, sales and marketing, public relations, and also lawyers. So how do you use the end strength in education? We have to follow case-based learning. Give them something which they have experienced. Link it to something they have experienced. Give examples and stories. Build a story around it. Turn the study session itself into experience. Your kid will remember with how you said, what Papa told that particular day, what he was telling that day, in what accent he was telling. She will remember because it's a personal experience for her. Never give, they need context-based knowledge. Their whole world understanding is from the context of personal experience. If you give them abstract fact, it will not stick to them. If you say something like justice, you cannot see justice, you cannot experience justice in that way. So you need to bring it along with a story and some context of what they know. Link it to the familiar. Now, other side of the coin, like I told, they have weak semantic and procedural memories. So it means any abstract fact you give them, they'll struggle with that. And because procedural memories are weak, they struggle with the daily tasks like brushing teeth or bathing. They also have difficulty in expressing. It is almost like I told, a lot of film rolls inside their minds. So when the conversation starts, one role leads to another role and they tend to drift from one topic to another. You might witness in many dyslexic like this. It's just that they have too much to express. Thirdly, in the younger age, their experience-based database is very small. For example, if your child has seen aeroplane once, whatever she sees in that aeroplane, suppose it has a rotor, she will assume that all planes are like this. So for her to have complete understanding of planes, she needs to see more and more and all varieties of plane. Then she'll be able to understand, okay, there are passenger planes, there are fighter planes. That is how it works. That Jack Law's naturalist example I gave earlier, he says that he remembers each and every robin. Robin is a bird he has seen in his life. And his understanding of the bird robin is from all the sightings he has done in his life. So that's how they remember. So when he has seen the robin only the first time, his knowledge will be incomplete. So at a younger age, for these experiential learners, their fluidity in thoughts will be very, very low. The last strength is called D strength, dynamic reasoning. The first strength was material reasoning, the 3D power. Second strength was interconnected reasoning, the analytical power. Third was narrative reasoning, the photographic memory power. And the fourth is problem solving power, dynamic reasoning. Interesting fact, Dr. Julie Logan's study in USA in 2007, 35% of US entrepreneurs or businessmen are dyslexic. It's a very high number. So what is dynamic reasoning? We live in a complex world. Yes, that I already told. But this complex world with imperfect data. Let's take stock exchange. We don't know everything about it. The variables are far too many in economic system. Take weather. We cannot predict the weather exactly because there are so many variables. So the world is full of many, many complex systems which have large number of variables with imperfect or incomplete data. That is how in the world we live in, all around us. And we have to make decisions based on that. Any administrative decisions an IAS officer and IPS officer makes is not based on 100% perfect information. Dyslexics with D strength have amazing ability. It's practically a magical ability. They process this incomplete data and somehow they come with a perfect solution or predict outcome, how this system is going to function. They are very good problem solvers as well as predictors, what is going to happen. I'll give some examples. Sarah Andrews is a famous geologist an author. She was working with a top petroleum corporation, which was into oil exploration. So she will look at the data in a particular area, the rock related data, the weather related, the soil composition related data, which was incomplete. With that incomplete data, she used to be able to put her finger on a point and say, this is where you're going to find oil. And more often than not, she was right. That made her a very successful professional. Glenn Bailey is a businessman from Canada. He had a pathetic school. He left the college in between and decided that he will start business. Somehow, he was very good in spotting business opportunities. He he owns the biggest mineral water company in Canada. Vince Flynn, the author I already mentioned, he writes all his novels based on the open source information what is published in newspapers. He, in 1998, predicted 9/11 in his writings and rise of Islamic fundamentalism. They can see a system, predict where it will go. So they are very good, where there's information is incomplete, even then they are able to predict. So what is the other side of the coin of the D-strength? This is how the D-strength mind works. You give them a problem, they will start looking at some other place. They'll cut you off from their visual zone, go into daydreaming mode. What is actually happening is their brain is processing the incomplete data and trying to think for a solution. Suddenly they will find a solution. That's called the Eureka moment, and they'll tell you the solution. And you ask them, how did you arrive at this solution? In most cases, they will not be able to trace back how they arrived at the solution. It's some complex mechanism which functions in their brain. So which are the jobs which are fit for high D-strength dyslexics? Any system which has a lot of variables and incomplete information. Economics as business is a classic example. So they make excellent CEOs and entrepreneurs. Tax, business consultant. In academics also they excel. Human health. You might wonder why oncologist and rheumatologist or immunologist. A diagnosis and course of treatment is decided by a doctor or in medicine on based of number of variables related to like blood pressure, to sugar level, to hundreds of things variables are there. So they have to make sense of these variables, which information is very incomplete many times, and make a prediction which is the right diagnosis and which is the right course. They also excel as farmers, environmentalists, and ecologists. So how do you use D-strength in education? Of all the strengths, this is the most difficult to use in schooling. Because this is real world problem solving, not ideal world problem solving. So what can we do? Please don't underestimate your child. Please teach him about economy, society, politics. Discuss with him. No need to read and write. Discuss with him. He will understand, he will interpret, and he'll enjoy this kind of things, subjects. And another suggestion, suppose you're buying a new car or a new house or any major family decisions you're taking, please involve your dyslexic child. Give him all the information. And trust me, he will come up with something which you had not seen. So the summary of the dyslexic strengths is like this. M, material reasoning, the 3D power. These are the dyslexics who make the shape and mold the world around us. They build buildings, they build machines. I, interconnected reasoning, the analytical power. These people, these dyslexics interpret the world around us, complex systems, make it easy for us to understand. And photographic memory power. These are the storytellers and the communicators. And D, the problem solving power. These are the people who solve real world problems for us. So I think it is a very fair conclusion to draw. Where will this world be without the dyslexics? Not in a very good place. So this is the summary of my presentation. A series of 8 advices to the parents. Number 1, have holistic and balanced perspective of dyslexia. This will help you to be confident about managing dyslexia. Your confidence will transfer to the kid and he will also be self-confident. Understand and accept dyslexic difference. Please accept that your dyslexic child is different. He's not defective, he's just different. Also accept the fact that dyslexic trajectory of growth is different. Don't try to put the non-dyslexic trajectory on the dyslexic. It will cause a lot of pain to the child. Accept it, be comfortable with it. You will be comfortable, child will also be comfortable with himself. Please join a parent support group. Nothing like sharing and learning from people who have traveled the way. Use interventions without fail. These help in improving reading and writing skills. Reading and writing is just the medium. Target is knowledge. Objective is knowledge. But reading and writing skills can be improved by using interventions. Please use that. Use occupational therapy. This help in concentration and coordination issues. Even activity like swimming is very helpful. Use technology without hesitation, without any sense of guilt or shame. Technology for reading assistance is very easily available. Please use it. Your child will enjoy. He'll gain a lot of knowledge. Use concessions offered by the boards. Don't feel that I'm doing something less or anything. Please use it freely. No problem. Use the concessions. This is 10th and 12th are just simple milestones which the child has to cross. After that, they are going to do very well. Don't worry. And lastly, and most important, please recognize and unlock the dyslexic strengths in your children. This will make them, let them be what they are. They are strong in themselves. Let them be best dyslexic that they can be. Let their career, their life is going to be centered around their strengths. So unlock those strengths and see how your child enjoys life and make life enjoyable for you too. So thank you all for this opportunity. I'm closing with this quote by Dr. Ed. Dyslexia isn't a tragedy. It's an exciting story filled with hope, opportunity, and promise. I hope I have been able to convince the parents here to view dyslexia differently. But this is like a mission for me and Mridula and my wife Rashmi. We really need to look at dyslexia differently and understand, and our interventions also accordingly have to change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful presentation. It was very, very, very informative for all of us. Let it be the explanation you gave it for how we should handle the kids, or the parenting and teaching methodology which we should know how we should take care of it. And I guess everyone will agree that they are gifted by God with their high potential of visualization, which we cannot even match them in this regard, right? And their friends with the concept of mind, M-I-N-D, the material reasoning or interconnected reasoning or narrative reasoning or dynamic reasoning, everything was so thoughtful. And it was very clear with beautiful examples that we could understand it way better. And thank you so much for the presentation. I now open the floor for questions. So if you have any clarification or if you want to say something, you can just unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you.
Yeah, before we open the floor for questions, thank you, Vinith. It was a wonderful session, very informative. And I thank DG Muthupalniappan for joining. Thank you so much, DG.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a wonderful session. It was really informative. A lot of insights we got into this. I should really thank Vinith. I thought I'll be here for 10 minutes, but the way in which presentation went on, I decided to stay on till he completes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, PDG Nazir, also for joining us. And there have been very good comments from him on the chat box. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, President Mogini, that it's a wonderful program. In fact, Rotary is best only in these awareness programs, because when Rotary calls for such meetings, it has a meaning and public hears. And I should congratulate and compliment Mr. Vinith Wankhede for the wonderful presentation. It's not the matter you speak, it's the manner with which you present. That's what matters to the parents who have this dyslexia children, and it's growing. And awareness on this dyslexia is a timely thing. And Chennai Utsav has truly have taken this effort to conduct 4 meetings, being October, the dyslexia month. Congratulations, President Mogini and all Utsaites for this wonderful program. பெரிய ப்ரோக்ராம்லாம் நடத்துறதை விட இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு concentrated, efficient and timely programs are very, very useful for the people who really suffer They don't know which way, which path to choose for the dyslexia children, and very rightly said by Mr. Vineet, the dyslexians. And these people have different strengths and challenges, and that has to be addressed in a manner with which Mr. Vineet has explained so beautifully. And I was requesting Utsav to go FB Live, because once you go on FB Live, you stream it in Facebook, and it stays in Facebook, and people can go even after 3 months and rewind it, and they can visit Facebook, and it is recorded in the Facebook as a permanent document. At least for the next few meetings, I wish Utsav takes effort to stream it simultaneously in the Facebook, so that Facebook records it, and if say I'm unable to attend the next meeting, but I can always go to your Facebook and see the recording. That's what is important. It's not the 150 people who are attending this session. It is useful for thousands of people who want to hear what is dyslexia, how to maintain this dyslexia in children, and what are the ways and means available for these children to develop themselves. And wonderful, Mr. Vineet, truly, you are not only a very upright IPS officer, you have proved that you are an excellent presenter, particularly taking the cause of dyslexia. Rotary thanks you for the wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now I open the floor for any questions.
Hello, sir. This is myself, Suhail.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Actually, from the past 6 months, I found myself dyslexic. And the main thing when I was in my primary schooling and even in my college, the thing you said, no, with how to say, with inappropriate, with an incomplete information, you tend to come with positive outcome. The exact thing. Even in my college, the main thing is I used to take seminars for my students, apart from my syllabus and everything. But most of the time when I take seminars, I don't know the full things, but neither I'll just come with a positive 100% positive outcome. The ones, but when I get into my examinations, written examinations, I struggle a lot. I cannot write there much. So what happened is in 1 to 2 semesters, I have been called by my classmates as an attention seeker. You understand what I'm trying to say? Hello.
Yeah, I understand, Sohail. It's very good that.
And the main thing is when you know one thing, sir. Actually, most of the time, I'm an engineering student at Anna University. I couldn't write in any concept above than half page. Even it is a complex concept, I can write it within 90 or 100 words, explaining its full meaning. But
exactly, that is the gist.
But the main thing is, sir, actually, I can't pass in my examinations. You know, one thing, I have a lot of arrears. Still, I've been confused. I don't know what to do next. Because really, I was getting counseling from my ma'am. She said that you're not 100% know what is dyslexic. You're a little bit confused, and she shared this link.
Yes.
And I found it so useful, and thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah. Okay, Mohammed, that is Sohail. It's a very good thing that you are immediately able to understand that what your strengths are.
Yes,
so my suggestion to you will be that there are techniques, there are way you read and how you present the data. Problem is that in engineering there are step-by-step solution has to be done, which is very difficult for dyslexic. Like I am a civil engineer, I struggled with structural engineering. I could not do. There are too many steps are there. So I took geoscience, which was more descriptive. So you have to use your elective, make methods how you can write most information, not in words but in diagrams.
Yes, sir.
Try those kind of techniques. My suggestion will be like that.
But the main thing is, but the main thing is when I
Sir, I
just
have
go
a question,
to my...
Mr. Vineet. Can I?
Yeah, please. Hello.
I have a question, Mr. Vineet. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Sir, you have been referring about the parents forum. For this dyslexia children parents forum, get into that parents forum so that you can discuss about various aspects of dyslexia kind of thing. Can you give us a lead on this parents forum? Because I address many meetings and many people ask me about, because we are involved in polio and dyslexia is also for the children. And many people ask us dyslexia details. Is there any forum where you can write that forum in this chat box?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
you can send it to us?
Yes, I'll share the email ID and
Please.
also the WhatsApp group administrator numbers with Ms. Mohini, so that that can be circulated.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
That will be of great help for people who want to get into that kind of a forum to discuss about their children.
We need to start that movement. Actually, if the dyslexic parents itself become a good a group, a lobby in themselves, they can influence the education system also to adopt little bit to dyslexia. The present education system is.
Please share it. Mohini, you can once it comes, you can circulate it to the district. Particularly, please send it to me. I will put it in my Facebook. Okay.
Can I put in a word, please? This is Dhanalakshmi here.
Yes, ma'am. Hi.
Hi. Oh, well, as a parent of a dyslexic, one advice I would give every parent here is be supportive to your child and convey to the child that you have faith in him and his capability. That is what is going to take the child as much, going to help him tide the problem as much as all the other facilities you are going to provide the child. That is very important. I talk from a position of strength in the sense that I'm a mother of a child with dyslexia who had multiple other problems too. But today, he is a very successful person on his own right. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
In this 1 minute, it is the parent support group plays a very, very pivotal role also. Of course, this came in much later, much after we had crossed the bridge. But in today's world, that plays a very major role.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as Vineet said, the parents can be a voice in motivating the educators, educating the educators. I can say with pride that me and my husband were pivotal in getting the concessions for all the learning disabled children in the CBSE stream.
Yes, true.
We did it single-handedly. Just imagine what can be done if all the parents get together, or many parents get together. That's it. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, actually, you said there are some technologies which helps for reading. So can you please explain what are the technologies?
Ma'am, this will be covered in the next subsequent sessions. So I don't want to encroach into their. See, I just impeach and encroach. I just mixed up. Similar sound.
Okay, fine.
Mr. Vineet, this is Rotarian Jayasatya. I have a question. Before that, Ms. Dhanalakshmi ma'am was mentioning about a parents support group and all. But my question is, in villages, there are people who are not even aware that their children are dyslexic, and majority of our population is from the rural areas, and the parents are not educated. At least this generation, maybe in the future it might be so. In such cases, how are the children going to be guided? Like, how are in a government school or in a slum area? How do we create that awareness at all?
Yes, ma'am. What happens is, actually the problem happens in middle class more, that where we try to put the pressure on the child to take a particular course of educational growth. You want him to be this or that. You want him to put him in the non-dyslexic trajectory. In poorer communities, somehow the dyslexic child on his own will find his dyslexic strength and automatically gravitate towards what is the occupation which is suitable for him. So that is how it happens actually. They might not understand they're dyslexic, but ultimately they'll find something which is they are good at, and they will go into that profession. For example, my brother is severely dyslexic. He struggled through school. He passed 10th in correspondence and 12th in correspondence. And today he is head of the interiors or architecture division of the Inox Films. So this is how life works for them. School is going to be difficult for them. But once they find a profession which they suit, they will outshine everybody else.
So you mean to say we don't disturb a dyslexic, leave them, let them be, kind of like let them.
Yes, that is the parents tend to decide for themselves what the child should do. Let the child decide.
Yeah, sadly doesn't happen. And do you have any support group for the parents wherein they get stressed, and do they need any counseling when their children are dyslexic? Do they get stressed, and does that happen?
Ma'am, actually all this is going to come in subsequent sessions, but only I will say that if the parent views that dyslexia as a shame, the child will feel the same. If the parents don't feel confident, child will also not feel confident. So parents' role is very, very critical. And dyslexia is not a weakness. It has some reading and writing weakness and certain other weaknesses, but otherwise it's a strength.
Yeah, definitely. They're shining in so many fields. Thank you so much.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Valsla Gopakumar. I have been teaching English language for the past 30 years. So what you had been saying, most of the children who had been through this had come in front of me. And I'm very sympathetic with this boy, Suhail, who had spoken. And all throughout your presentation, what I observed was absolutely positive. You had not even mentioned any negative aspect of dyslexic. And I think this has to be given to the parents, because mostly from my experience, I noticed that parents are always on denial. And
yes, exactly.
We have to actually, because your presentation has been such that you have never mentioned anything about this problem. So I think...
No, ma'am, I did mention, sorry, ma'am, I did mention the weaknesses. But weaknesses are the other side counter strengths. I'm only asking, please see the weaknesses along with the strengths. Don't look at the weaknesses alone.
Exactly.
And I listed out each and every weaknesses. They have struggled with symbols, concentration issues, everything I listed out.
Exactly. But what happens is, when you convey it to the parents, it is so convincing. The whole presentation had been so convincing. And one thing I noticed was that this problem is also with numbers. Since you mentioned about you have concentrated on reading and writing, but these children always struggle with the numbers as well, because 6 they read it as 9, and then their problem. So invariably they perform badly in language and arithmetic, and that is exactly the deciding factor in any school, this thing. And you have mentioned that the most painful period is school. I totally agree with you. And I have also seen children who are struggling through and wading through this, and ultimately after school, then college, and finally they will, manage the whole problem if it is a mild case. But intervention is required when it is a serious one. And as teachers, most of our primary teachers are actually trained in identifying it. And when we convey it to the parents, they are not ready to accept, because it is in a regular school, it is very difficult to give them intervention and specialized coaching. So parents have to get convinced about it, and if you could take it to the parents, and if Mohini could take a session exclusively for parents, I think that would be the best thing, because they have to accept it and they have to identify. Then it will not be as painful as the children are going through.
Exactly, ma'am. Very nicely summarized. Thank you.
This boy also mentioned that he had been having a lot of arrears. This is actually one of the setback. Because how will he manage to clear this? If he had taken or chosen some other stream where math is not there, it would have been better. As you said, there are a lot of strength, there are so lot of careers and areas where they can really do well. Thank you so much, sir, for this one. And thank you, Mohini, for this great opportunity. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
I have a question, Mr. Vineet.
Yeah, please tell.
Yeah, when I was trying to enter the password for this meeting, it said 5173. But when I typed in, I was typing it as 5713. Am I dyslexic?
Inadequate information, I can't judge on that. You will know yourself.
Vinit ji, this is Madan from Taisha.
No, Madan, I recognize you. I recognize you. Despite your beard, I know it.
Yeah, thank you. So,
I suppose you remember me, Harini Mohan.
Yes, ma'am. How not?
Ma'am, sounds very fun. We've known you quite some time, so please feel free to refer to me as Harini. Superb session, especially the acronym that you used, the MIND, mind, and the explanation that you gave for that was just too good. Fantastic.
Thank you, ma'am.
Vineet, I think you can cut out on the ma'am, please. It makes me feel very embarrassed.
This is the police training we got. I can't cut it out.
I salute.
Yeah, I think
Hello.
that is all.
Hi, Mr. Vineet. My name is Nausheen. I've met Reshmi once. So Reshmi is a very dynamic personality, and
Rashmi.
to say hi to Reshmi as well. My question is, how to identify the strength of a dyslexic? You know, when you talk about the mind. Factors, you know, I could feel like you're actually describing my daughter.
Yeah.
So
So that is
now,
where you are identifying. Yes.
yes, but specifically, how do I identify which is the strength of my now? When I talk to before, when I used to talk after before attending your program, I was always worried. And I used always talk to my kids teachers about her weakness. I think this is the first time, and from now on, I will talk about the strength of the dyslexic. So how do I identify her strength so that I could give her the education in which she can flourish? That's one of my question. And my another question is, as you rightly put, most of the dyslexics are unfit in
Excuse me.
school.
Except for the person who is speaking, can others mute themselves?
Hello?
Can others mute themselves except for
Yeah.
the person who is asking questions?
My
Ravina?
first question is, how do I identify the strength of the dyslexic? And then second is the school becomes very overburdened for the child. My child is 6 years old, but even at this age, I have pulled her out of the school and I'm doing homeschooling for her. But I'm not a trained teacher, so I get overburdened, and sometimes it passes on to my child as well.
Very good.
So,
I really appreciate your honesty in telling this, that they actually are aware of the dynamics, how it happens.
yes, I have
Regarding
pulled her out
the
of the school. I didn't
I'll
want
come
her
to the
to go
point.
to. Yeah, I'm doing
Identifying strengths.
Yeah.
You can identify by the strength themselves in operation.
Okay.
You can see whether they are able to spot connections, and whether they are good in 3D. That will be visible. But generally, we don't value these strengths in school life. These are real world practical strengths which make good careers. That's how our education system is.
Yeah.
How much of algebra we use in real life, but this 3D capability is extremely useful in real life.
Yes, yes.
And you can also identify from weakness. The thing is that all these 4 strengths in some degree will be present in each child. 1 or 2 strengths will be extremely pronounced.
Yes, yes.
So that is how it is. And secondly, about the child and the school, this is where the parents' role comes in. You have to take decisions. Like we have decided that regular school is not suiting our children, my daughter. So we moved her to NIOS. And we moved her to Saraswati Kendra, and she's so happy there. I think Sangeeta madam, because school is required to an extent for the social exposure. And one thing you will notice, one dyslexic child gets famously along with another dyslexic. These guys click like X-Men, they understand each other.
Yes, yes.
So school was for the socialization, also for the reading and writing skills are there. So put in a dyslexic school where the schools like Saraswati Kendra, there. Few more schools are there. I'm not much aware of that. Ananya is there.
I'm not in India actually. I'm in Japan. So the other disadvantage is there is the Japanese school system supports thing, but the language is Japanese. So
that is another additional complication then.
Additional complication. I'm not able to find a good remedial teacher, English speaking.
And they do homeschooling with confidence. You'll have to dedicate the time.
I'm doing homeschooling for her, and for now maybe until,
and get yourself trained also if possible.
Yes. I am turning into a special educator while
yes. That's what happens actually in many parents.
Yes. So yeah, thank you, Mr. Vineet. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Uncle.
Hello, Mr.
Hello, uncle.
Sanjay, please tell.
I want something to you that nowadays I used to help my mother by cooking, and she used to motivate every time when I help her. Like cooking chapati is the most hardest thing to press that thing, and bringing to shape is the most thing I found out. Next, like helping mother, sorting out things in my house, and I used to. The thing is, I don't keep my things properly. Even yesterday, I used to search my specs, and luckily it's on top of a shelf. Today, I found it only because honestly, I can't take my things, keep it properly anywhere. And I used to do tinkering things, and I used to online course, and I used to do tinkering. Anything which is broken in house, I used to take it and fix it properly.
Okay, yeah. You know what is your strength is, Sanjay. I told your parents long back, if one day you will be known as Sanjay's parents. Okay, so trust yourselves. Your strength is really there. Difficulty in reading and writing you will overcome after some time, man. And this little bit disorganized rooms and all that is okay. Okay, concentrate on your strength, build them up. And all the best. You will do very well. I'm sure of you.
And also I did a light lamp. It is like you keep a lamp, and when you off the light, it on, light automatically ons. You already automatically it's on. So I do all these formal things in house.
Great, Sanjay. We'll discuss. We'll meet up, Sanjay, and we'll talk further. Okay.
Okay, uncle. Thank you.
Very good, Sanjay.
Mohini.
Very good, Sanjay. Now over to the MC.
So thank you for all the questions, and it was even more interactive than I expected. And now I request Mr. Rajendran to share the AV, please.
MC, you can go for the next MC.
Sonia, you could just speak.
All right. So now we have Mrs. Sangeeta Venkatesh among us. To commemorate the month of dyslexia awareness, Rotary Club of Chennai recognizes the service of Mrs. Sangeeta Venkatesh, Principal of Saraswati Kendra Learning Center for Children. She has been in the field of special education for over 2 decades, and I now request President Rotarian Mohini Sriram to do the citation.
Excellence in Teaching Award was conferred on Mrs. Sangeeta Venkatesh. It reads as follows. If students aren't learning from the way we teach, then we need to start teaching the way they learn, said Joe Martin, an educator and motivator. This quotation cannot sit more comfortably than on the shoulders of Mrs. Sangeeta Venkatesh, Principal of Saraswati Kendra Learning Center for Children, pioneers in the field of teaching children with learning challenges in Chennai. This special educator, certified by the Rehabilitation Council of India, Government of India, in pursuit of her passion to serve with dedication, care, and compassion the special needs of children with learning disabilities, has 2 decades of experience under her belt in serving children with learning disabilities from reputed institutions like the Madras Dyslexia Association, Lady Andal Venkata Subbarao School, and Prerna Learning Academy, Chennai. Mrs. Sangeeta's aim to attain excellence in all she does has made her an effective communicator with elevated interpersonal skills. She has also had training in domains like autism, transactional analysis, and NLP. With all these accomplishments, what stands out best is Mrs. Sangeeta's interaction with the children who need to learn differently and their open love for her. Her outgoing, friendly nature and the responsibility she feels for her children are appreciated by children and parents alike. Mrs. Sangeeta Venkatesh excels at recognizing the strength of the children and gives them a fair chance to combat this world, and we, the Rotary Club of Chennai Utsav, take great pleasure in presenting this award to her on this day, the 10th day of October 2020, in appreciation of her yeoman's service in teaching.
Thank you, Mohini ma'am. It's such an honor. Rotary has been more than generous with your words. My only advice or talk to the parents is celebrate your child. Always celebrate the child, make him or her responsible, accountable, harness their strength, isolate the weakness. By harnessing the strength of the child, we isolate without us being aware, without the child being aware. I'm really honored. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Really deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Best wishes to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sonia.
We would love.
Thank
you so
It's
much.
the children which keep us going. With children, it's only the students. You know, there's not a day I don't learn, we don't learn something. The way we look at the world changes each time you talk to a child like this. Each moment, their clarity, the way they speak, the clarity, and sometimes I don't even know what I'm talking about. They don't know. That very thing of, they don't know what they're talking, but it gives you so much insight. You learn from them. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful world there.
Yes.
This is such a satisfying job. I will be in this line always.
Thank you so much. We would love to hear from you always and get connected in all our sessions also. And now we proceed with the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. It's indeed a pleasure to render the vote of thanks to an August gathering. A big thank you to Mr. Vinith Wankede for spearheading the dyslexia workshop. Thank you, DG, PDGs, district officials, and all special invitees. Thank you to the district literacy team. It's a great honor for RCC Utsav for having conferred Excellence in Teaching Award to Srimati Sangeeta Venkatesh, Principal of Saraswati Kendra Learning Center. Thank you, Madam, for accepting the same. This is a recurring workshop to 4 Saturdays, spread to 4 Saturdays with different speakers. RCC Utsav takes pride in joining hands with the district literacy team to create awareness on dyslexia and bring about a change in the outlook and mindset of people handling dyslexia children. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a wonderful session, and I guess everyone would agree with it. And also, now it's the time for the end of the session, and I request everyone to raise for national anthem. Thank you so much. I personally thank President Rotarian Mohini Sriram for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sonia. You did a very good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I'll take
Thank
leave.
you, Sangeeta ma'am. Thank you. Thanks. It was an excellent So excellent. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Mohini and team.
And
thank you, Mr. Vinith.
Thank you.
I'll
You
take
were
leave.
extraordinary. You were not ordinary. You were extraordinary.
Oh, thank you, man. That's very
For
sweet.
all of us who don't know anything about
very good
dyslexia, we
session.
understood. We
Mr.
understood.
Vinith, can you
Thank
share
you.
your number, please? Mr. Vinith, can you share your number?
Yes, ma'am. 944.
Oh, 1 minute.
Vinith, you could just put it in the chat box.
944
35
35
34 000.
34 000. 944 35 34 000.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Vinith, your talk was awesome.
Ma'am, thank you, ma'am.
And I could relate to each word you were saying. I was smiling, I was thinking so many things which this is a topic which we can talk for 2-3 days also.
Yes, ma'am.
It is something.
It is really, that is true.
Yeah, it is something so vast and beautiful. Nice,
Yes, ma'am.
very nice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excellent talk, sir. Excellent talk. Well explained everything.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mrs. Sangeeta, ma'am.
Will you leave the meeting?
I'll take leave. Thank you, Mohini ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, Sangeeta ma'am, congratulations.
Can you off your thing?
ऋषि चलो कौन लीव करा था मीटिंग कौन लीव कर लो मुझे